Hey, it's Jason Journeyman, and if you recognize where I'm at right now, then thank you so much for watching my videos, because I was here, one of my very first videos was from this very trail here in Griffith Park. It was a couple of days after stay-at-home rules went into place, and a couple days before the trails of Griffith Park got closed, and now they're reopened, which is awesome. So I thought I would come back to this trail, and I would show you the plants that we looked at before. Now that video is called I Notice, I Wonder, It Reminds Me Of, and those are three statements that naturalists use to explore plants, to check out what they look like, what their relationships are with each other. And another thing, a main thing that naturalists do is called phenology, and that's the study of things as they change over time. So that could be, for example, studying of atmospheric temperatures to learn about climate change. In the case of a naturalist and someone who focuses on plants like I do, that would be studying the changes in plants over time. So you would go back and revisit the same trail, the same plants over and over again and see how they've changed. So it's been 2 months since that video. We're gonna go on the same trail, we're gonna look at the same plants, and we're gonna look at how they've changed in the last 2 months, if anything, right? So I'm on this trail, and I also have this, just in case I need it, my face coverage. I have not seen very many people at all out here, but just in case, it's always good to be safe. I also have some hand sanitizer handy. We want to keep these trails open, so if you do come up here, or any park, any trail that it's open back up again, please follow the rules so that we can all get to keep enjoying it. So let's hike. I'm gonna try not to talk a ton just so you can enjoy some time in nature digitally. I will talk a little bit though. Last time we looked at this deerweed and it wasn't really blooming at all, and now look at all the blooms, all the little teeny blooms. The lovely views. This is Burbank and Glendale, and those are the San Gabriel Mountains out there. LA's big mountains. A national monument. Beautiful place to be. One plant we stopped at right here. California sagebrush. My favorite plant. It smells so wonderful. It reminds me of camping when I was growing up. But what do we notice that's different? You might want to go back and review my last video. What I notice is that all these limbs are a good 6 inches longer than they were before. All new growth. It smells even more vibrant than it did last time. And there's a lot less of these dry pieces here, these old flowers from last season. A lot of them have probably fallen off, and it's being replaced by new growth, spring, new life. This will eventually bloom at the end of the summer, so it's getting there. It's getting to that spot. Here's some phenology and change for sure right here. We looked at these in my last video. It's California cudweed. This was a foot tall. Now, I stand at 6 feet tall, and I'm holding this right about at the top of these tough flowers. They're maybe 5 feet tall now. You can't even see the city behind it, which is a good thing. That's 4 feet of growth in the last 2 months. It's crazy. That is spring right there. Something we also talked about, these right here. These pretty yellow flowers. You see them all over. It's mustard. Talked about it in my edible plants video because you can eat these. But these are invasive plants. This, along with this broom grass over here that I don't totally know the name of, but this whole side of the trail is covered in mustard. And then if we look back that way, there's the cudweed. Probably in the past, this was all cudweed, but the mustard, the invasive plant, is taking over this space, pushing out the native plant, pushing out the native species, insects, birds, animals, and other plants that would all live in this environment and did for 100 years. Oh, here's just a nice flower. This was not blooming last time either. Very lovely. That one was called Ceanothus. We looked at this plant last time too. This is the black sage. A lot more blooms. Whoa, and a bee just came for me. A lot of blooms. Lots of small little balls of flowers. It's how this plant grows. And this smells delicious too if you rub the leaves. Also a native plant. We still got all this mustard and grass on the side. It's been 50 feet of that. Here's something we talked about earlier. We have a good example of phenology right here. Right there is an old flower from last year. Dried out, dropping the seeds. And right here, a new flower just developing with new leaves. That's all new. If we were tracking this plant, we would note 2 months ago, those flowers were not there. We know that this is a really big growth time for that plant. That's how we learn about how this plant grows. Lovely views out there. Wonderful. Here's one we looked at last time too. Nice big shrub. This is a blue elder. We looked at this in my flower video that I just put out. One from my neighborhood. Look at those flowers. And now if we zoom in really close, you can see those are star flowers. See the 5 points, just like a star. But then when we zoom out, you can see it kind of forms an umbrella shape, which is the umbel shape of flowers when they group together. Those flowers will become an elderberry, which are known for their healing, immunity system boosting properties. Last time we took this spur trail right here because I wanted to show you. Oh, look at all the birds. Wanted to show you the yucca because I love yucca. They're spiky, they're pointy. The roots are used for food. These long leaves were used to make ropes. These points, bloop, bloop, ow, were used as needles by Native Americans. I used this plant a lot. And last time, from this view, there were 2 old blooms. And now one of them's fallen over, there's only one. But we have a new addition. There's a new bloom coming in. Right there. So you can see how these plants have changed over time. And right behind me here, this was not here at all before. There was a bush, but there were no flowers. This is sticky monkey flower bush. I just talked about this in my flower video as well, because I have this in my backyard and I love these guys. They're so pretty. If you're driving by Griffith Park on the freeway and you see areas of the park that look yellow, you might think from a distance, oh, they're dry and dead. Well, they might be, but a lot of them are probably the sticky monkey flower. Blooming like crazy, bright yellow, beautiful. Last time we also looked at this plant here, so let's see what has changed. So much has changed. This is the buckwheat. Remember I mentioned that same kind of buckwheat that you make buckwheat pancakes out of? Back then, all the flowers kind of looked like that part, and now look at all the blooms. This whole bush, and they're up here on this hillside as well. There's a ton of these in Griffith Park right now, blooming like crazy. The bees love them. Here's a new plant that I didn't really notice last time, but look at this. This is called a California dodder, and you can see it's growing on top and around and through a laurel sumac that we just looked at. We can like go deep in here. It's going all the way deep into the bush. And right up here, you can see it's just wrapping around it. California dodder is a native plant, but it is a parasite. It is getting all of its energy off of that laurel sumac. And while that seems kind of sad, maybe it's hurting the laurel sumac, maybe that laurel sumac will die. But the dodder has been here, a part of this ecosystem, for thousands of years, maybe millions of years. It grew up in this ecosystem, so it knows how to balance things out. It's part of it. So it's not a bad thing. It's not like mustard that is pushing out the native plants. The dodder can live in harmony with the laurel sumac. There's tons of it around. They're doing just fine. This is where we ended our hike last time. And so I'll end it again here too. But I hope you enjoyed a little stroll through nature and learning about phenology. I saw a lot of changes, saw a lot of growth, a lot of new flowers. Plants that I wouldn't have noticed before because they didn't have flowers. And now they're like, hello, I'm here, it's spring, look at me. That's what you start noticing when you dive in deep to the ecosystem out there and studying how they change over time. So maybe I'll just keep coming back here and showing you guys the changes. We can come back here later in summer when things are more dry. Come back here in fall where certain plants are actually going to be blooming and seeding. And then come in winter when it's more bare, and we can just keep tracking it over time and getting to know these plants and getting to know how they grow and how they interact with the ecosystem here. And that teaches us all how to interact with the world around us, because we're all interacting and connected in some way. So stay safe out there. If you do go hiking, again, I want to keep this place open. This place is like recharging to my battery. Bring a face covering. Be safe out there. Social distance. And I'll see you next time. I hope you liked the video, and if you did, maybe give me one of those digital kind of likes too. I am an outdoor environmental science educator, and I'm making videos teaching about nature from my backyard and the local trails of LA. If you love nature too, check out my other videos. They're great for kids of all ages.